It was one of those moments when the air in the studio felt heavy, like something big was about to happen and no one could have predicted how it would end. The cameras were rolling, the audience was silent, and millions of Americans were watching as Senator Cory Booker delivered what seemed to be a cutting insult aimed squarely at Senator John Kennedy. It wasn't just political banter, it was personal. Booker, known for his fiery charisma and passion, had grown visibly frustrated during a heated debate about education reform and government transparency. Kennedy, the soft-spoken yet sharp-witted senator from Louisiana, had questioned one of Booker's proposed policies, asking pointedly about its real impact on working-class families. Booker's patience snapped. With an almost mocking grin, he retorted, "Senator Kennedy, maybe if you spent less time quoting philosophers and more time understanding people, you'd actually help someone." The room fell silent. Kennedy didn't respond. He simply looked down, nodded once, and let Booker continue speaking. Viewers could see the tension. The insult wasn't just an attack on Kennedy's intellect, it was a jab at the very core of who he was, a man who prided himself on empathy, humility, and truth. In the following days, clips of that moment spread like wildfire online. Social media took sides. Some applauded Booker's boldness, saying it was time for passion to override politeness. Others condemned him for disrespecting a colleague who had done nothing but ask honest questions. Kennedy himself remained quiet. He didn't tweet. He didn't call for an apology. He just waited. Then, a week later, came the speech. It wasn't announced with fanfare or theatrics. Kennedy took the stage at a small town hall in Lafayette, Louisiana. The event was meant to discuss education, but what unfolded became something much bigger, something the nation would talk about for weeks. Kennedy began softly, his southern drawl gentle but firm. "A few days ago," he said, "a good man said some harsh things to me on television, and I don't blame him. We all lose our temper sometimes, but I want to take a few minutes to talk about understanding of the kind that doesn't come from winning arguments, but from listening to pain." The audience leaned in. Kennedy didn't mention Booker's name again, but everyone knew. He told a story about his childhood day, about a teacher who believed in him when no one else did, about his father working 2 jobs to afford school books, and about how that taught him the real meaning of service. "You see," he continued, his voice cracking just slightly, "people don't need politicians who shout the loudest, they need people who listen the hardest." Then he paused. "I've made mistakes, I've spoken when I should have stayed quiet, but I've learned that the best way to earn respect is not to demand it, it's to deserve it." By the time he finished, there were tears in the crowd. Some were silent, others clapped softly. And as the video of that speech spread, something remarkable happened. Even Cory Booker couldn't stay silent. 2 days later, Booker posted a message on X, formerly Twitter. It wasn't defensive. It wasn't political. It was human. He wrote, "I watched Senator Kennedy's speech. It reminded me why I got into public service in the first place. Say not to win, but to serve. I was wrong in how I spoke to him, and I've called to apologize personally. The world needs more voices like his." Reports later confirmed that the 2 senators had a private conversation that lasted nearly an hour. No one knows exactly what was said, but insiders revealed it was emotionally full of honesty, forgiveness, and mutual respect. What followed was a powerful shift. The next time Booker and Kennedy appeared together, at this time on a joint panel about bipartisan cooperation, the energy was completely different. Booker publicly praised Kennedy for his compassion and moral clarity, while Kennedy thanked Booker for having the courage to grow in the public eye. The audience erupted into applause, not because of politics, but because they had just witnessed something rare in modern America: humility and redemption. And perhaps that's what made this story so powerful. It wasn't about winning an argument on live TV or proving who was right. It was about what happens after the cameras turn off, when 2 people decide that integrity is worth more than ego. John Kennedy's speech didn't just make Cory Booker regret his words, it reminded a nation that grace still has a place in public life, that sometimes the most powerful response to an insult isn't revenge, it's wisdom spoken softly, from the heart. In a time when politics feels colder than ever, that night in Lafayette became a flicker of hope, a moment when Americans remembered that true strength isn't found in shouting others down, but in lifting each other up. And as Kennedy left the stage, the applause didn't fade for several minutes. It wasn't just for his words, it was for the message behind them, that compassion, even when tested, can still change hearts, and maybe, just maybe, heal a divided nation.